What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Hump Day Hangout, the episode where we almost don't make it because, you know, these things happening in YouTube. But anyways, we're here, episode 307, and today's the 30th of the last day of September, actually, and we're really excited to be here. Powerful Live was a smashing hit. No, we're not excited to be here. All right, so Powerful Live was a smashing hit. During these past weekend. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But before that, let me introduce to the rest of the crew. What's going on, Chris? How are you doing, man?
Doing good here. Yeah, it's colder now here, and I still cannot believe that POF is already over for this year. I don't know, like, it went so fast this year. Like, I really can't believe it. But, well, it is what it is. There's always next time.
Yeah. Marco, how you doing, man?
I should have put aside my exercise mat and the weights. Sorry about that. You can see it in the background. Too bad. I'm into that aggressive kind of. So here I am, man. But hey, come get some. Po, fu, or bust. Position of hush your mouth.
What's up, B? How you doing, Bradley?
Good, except that it didn't work. So the URL that's on the Hump Day Hangouts page was one that's we're not streaming into that YouTube video. So I just swapped the URL out, but everybody's going to have to refresh the page, which they're not hearing us right now. So somebody post a comment in there.
Just refresh whenever you see this. Please refresh. Anyway, should we keep going? I think.
Yeah, we should keep going, but what I'm saying is nobody will know to refresh.
Nobody will know. All right. Well, we'll talk into the vacuum. What's happening, everybody? So we can say whatever we want. So episode 307, right. We're 5 or 6 episodes away from 6 years straight doing Hump Day Hangout. It's got 5 episodes. 5 episodes, 6 years, right? 5 episodes, 6 years.
5 episodes, 6 years. Yes.
There you go. All right. So. And super happy to be here. As I mentioned, Powerful Live 2020 is over, and we had a really good time. We had a really good time. Friday was the VIP event with a remote beer and cheese tasting. It was pretty awesome. And then we went straight up into the talks. And I think, based on the opinions and the testimonies that we got from most of the attendees, that this was by far the best quality talks that we had so far in Powerful Live. So if you couldn't attend for whatever reason, that's fine. We get it. Now there's a chance for you to get the replays. The replays are not out there yet. So if you want to get notified when we launch the replays so that you can get access to them, go to powerfullive.com. A little window will pop up where you can put in your email so that you can be notified when the replays come out. Go ahead, and the only way that you're going to be notified when the replays come out is going to be by being part of that list. So go ahead and sign up, powerfullive.com. Go there, and we will notify you when the replays go live. With that being said, if you need a wingman for your SEO, if you need somebody to do the heavy lifting for you, go to mgyb.co. We have a lot of good stuff in there, and more coming. So you don't have to worry about the delivery of the stuff that you're selling to your clients. We got you covered. So go to mgyb.co. And on Powerful Live, a lot of people took the plunge, took action, and joined the mastermind, because a lot of people on Friday, they were part of the mastermind and they were saying great things about the mastermind. We weren't actually telling them to say so. They were just like, because the mastermind is pretty awesome, if I say so myself. But a lot of people took the plunge and joined the mastermind. So if you want to learn more about the mastermind and how it can help you grow in your business, go to mastermind.semanticmastery.com. So a lot of testimonials, everything is in there. So yeah, hope that you
so just so I can add to that, Dedia isn't just our link builder. He's a mastermind member. Right? Yes. Jeffrey Smith, he isn't just SEO bootcamp and that badass SEO ultimate plugin or all that framework, right, for WordPress and everything. He's also in our mastermind. Presenter Jordan Fowler, also a presenter, mastermind member. Brian Catto, presenter, also mastermind member. So it's not as if it's just there are benefits to being a member of the Semantic Mastermind, of the Semantic Mastery Mastermind. And so much so that you get to the point where you can actually share your knowledge with the people who come to POFA, which is just awesome. I mean, the stuff that Jordan presented, you could be charged 10K for that. You could be, seriously, 10K, and you would still not be paying enough for the information that he shared on. I mean, I'm still thinking on how to incorporate all of these things, all of these pieces, and bring it all together, because it's like, oh yeah, I mean, what I talked about in POFA was that, okay, you got all these things, but there has to be action. It's not, we can't just give you actionable items, right? We can't just give you actionable information, actionable education. There has to be a step in that when you take what you get and you go and apply it. What do I say in our free Facebook group all the time? You train, you apply, you make money, you go and hire a VA so that they can help you. So they train, they help you apply, and they help you make money, and that's how you scale. Lather, rinse, repeat. But without that first step, without that action, guys, without you taking that action of investing in your education, it's useless. It's just another shiny object in your digital wall. I hope it looks really good.
Right on.
All right, cool. Anything else before we jump into questions?
Yeah.
Questions. Yes, sir.
I just want to mention that, you know, it's crazy, but after our POFU live event over this past weekend, I'm just like Marco in that I've got like, you know, a ton of things that I'm now trying to implement. I realize I really need to step my schema game up. Jesus, some of these guys that were giving presentations, Rob was one of them, but like you said, Jordan Fowler, Jeffrey Smith, their structured data is just silly. Like, and I said, man, I've just been using pretty much organization markup and local business markup, and that's pretty much it for my career. And I realized that like schemas has blossomed into so much more, and it's just absolutely insane what you can do with it. And so that's kind of what I'm deep diving into now, is studying that to start implementing that as well. So yeah, it was amazing. So guys, go to pofulive.com. You can sign up for the early bird release when we have the recordings available, and I would highly recommend you check it out. There was a lot of really good information this past weekend. So
indeed. All right, cool.
Okay, so we're ready for questions.
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
I think we got a bunch of them today, so this ought to go good. Let me grab the screen. All right, you guys are seeing my screen, correct?
Yes.
All right. So Dustin Bowe's up first. He says, hey guys, where can I learn from you exactly how to use paid traffic to rank websites and GMBs? Is there a video or course or something? Yes, there is. And it's not just that, it's not using paid ads to rank something. It helps to augment SEO efforts. It provides brand signals, traffic, relevant traffic, targeted traffic, especially for local stuff, because you can have you know, geographic targeting and everything else. So it sends the proper signals. That's what that's about. Now, if you have shit SEO and you try to just send traffic to something and think that that's going to rank it, it's very, very unlikely that you're going to see any results, and you're just going to piss a lot of money away. But if you have proper SEO, you know, it's tight, your on page is good, you've got a compelling offer, and then you're buying relevant traffic signals. I mean, you're essentially buying engagement signals, but if you got your audience targeting right, your geographic targeting right, and you've got a compelling message or an offer that's decent, then some of that traffic could even convert. So it's not just about brand signals and kind of injecting that activity, relevance, trust, and authority that you can purchase directly from Google or from other sources as well. It's not just about sending that traffic to augment or supplement your SEO, right, or to add to your SEO efforts, but it's also potentially lead source or a source for customers and a way to make sales and such. You can actually convert some of that traffic if your targeting is right. And my point is, why spend the time and effort or money even unless you have all of those pieces in place? Because if you have traffic coming from search and you've got come to an offer or a page that doesn't convert well, then it's, what good is it? So, what's the point in ranking it if you're just buying traffic and to an offer or something that doesn't convert very well? So my point is kind of have all of it together, and then buying relevant traffic signals can actually help with your SEO as well. Anybody want to comment on that?
And no, I think that's perfect. And actually, you know, we were mentioning during Powerful Live that I've seen the same results with, you know, Google, Google clicks. And, you know, I shared with you that article about apps, you know, using apps because the clicks are so cheap. The quality might not be as good when you're getting like search ads and all that, but still like the clicks are for SEO purposes is really good. And also I've been noticing the same thing with Facebook ads, you know, because Facebook ads will come from real people. They will come from the people that you can geo-target your Facebook ads. So you can say, hey, I want people that has like this behavior and whatnot in these specific cities or zip codes or whatever. And I'm seeing the same thing. So yeah, so I really do recommend you test it out. But again, you need to tick all the boxes when it comes to on-site SEO so that by the time you start getting traffic, you know, you start seeing that impact multiplied.
Marco? I don't know if Marco's still with us. He kind of jumped off for a minute.
No, I'm still here, but I'm not hearing anything that I need to add anything to.
Okay, very good. But Dustin, just to answer your question, is there a course for that? Yes, and I posted it down here. I mentioned you. It's a Google Ads for brand signals, traffic, and to complement SEO. That's this course here. It works really, really well. It's for using the Google Display Network and for YouTube, which again is a lot less expensive than search ads. But yeah, what Hernan just mentioned is, you know, and that's something I'd like to try, and I have not. Hernan brought it to my attention, but that, you know, I always go into the display network when I set up ads campaigns in there and immediately turn off all of, you know, or add to my exclusion list all of the apps. So all the Apple apps, all the Android apps, and the, you know, handful of what Windows apps that are available, because the traffic has always been really, really shitty, but you can get it for really, really cheap. So if you were just trying to purchase just clicks, so traffic essentially, even though it may be very non-relevant, then you could probably go in and set up an a Google Display Network ads campaign targeting just mobile apps. And you could set geographic targeting so it will only show, so you at least get proper IP clicks, but it might not be from, you know, really interested audience is my point. But you might want to try that. That would be rather inexpensive. Okay. All right. Sorry, I got another important one, guys. One of my sites, my main money sites crashed. How do I find out that penalty, which penalty it was? Well, you have to investigate. I mean, if you have a manual action, a manual penalty, there will be a notice inside of Google Search Console. So if your site's connected to Search Console, go look at the left side for notifications or manual actions, and you can see if there's a manual penalty. If it's algorithmic, then you have to kind of determine that through a number of different processes. You look at backlink, you know, analytics, for example, like using some sort of backlink analysis tool, SEMrush or Ahrefs or something like that. And you might be able to determine what if it was caused because of bad backlinks. You could also look. There's a number of things that you could do, like do a brand search or a domain search, search for the domain and see if it ranks #1 for the brand name or for the domain name. If it doesn't, then it's likely an on-page penalty of some sort. So there's a number of things that you can do, but it requires investigation. You want to comment on that, Marco?
No, we're good.
Okay, moving on. And do you know if it works when you create a new site and do this? Penalized Moneysite 301 through a shortener, then 301 to a blog post, then 301 to a new website. Will this remove the penalty? You know, possibly for a period of time, but it could also catch up eventually to the end final destination, right? The target destination anyways. So that's a kind of a trick that we used to use years ago when we used to spam domains. We used to spam subdomains to power them up, like for essentially to manipulate domain authority. And that used to work, but it's not something that we've done for many, many years. But way back when we used to do that, that's one of the things we would do is a double redirect to basically launder any negative potential from those domains. But again, it's been 5 or 6 years since I've done anything like that because our methods just don't require that. And honestly, we would recommend, and a lot of the times, just to start over because you can get, you know, you can get really good results with the SEO Shield and backlinks to that, the way that we teach, and get them rather quickly too. than trying to recover something like that. I can tell you right now, if it's like a backlink penalty and all that, that's a real pain in the ass to try to get lifted. And doing these double types of redirects or triple redirects, I don't know if that would work. It may work for a period of time. It could end up hurting you in the long run. And then you've just added more work on top of something that was already tanking or sinking. Does that make sense? So any comments on that, guys?
I haven't seen manuals in a really long time.
Me neither.
It's usually algorithmic. Look, Google doesn't have the time, or believe it or not, the people to go after your stinking website in the first place. You're not making enough money. You're not making enough noise for Google to come after you. It's when you start making noise, and noise meaning how much money you're siphoning from Google. Google's after those North Koreans, the Ukrainians, people in Malta, former KGB, all these people who set up these really intricate networks to burn Google for hundreds of millions of dollars. We're not talking pennies here, right? Right now, I mean, even if you drain Google for a couple of mil, it's nothing. Literally, in the grand scheme of $1 trillion company, a couple of $1 million is nothing. You do that often enough, and you know the spidey sense will start triggering. The thing is, if you set off enough triggers in the algorithm, enough red flags, you'll go on the list, and someone will eventually come looking. It's a lot easier for them though to just trigger an algorithmic penalty and let you figure out what the hell it was you did to trigger this algorithmic penalty. I would use the site : operator to go and look if you're still indexed. If you're still indexed, you're good. Then that means that something you did on site is the problem. I can almost guarantee that it's not link building, because Google simply devalues links that aren't relevant. I mean, we've hit our stuff with millions of backlinks and never had any issues through the SEO Shield. If you fuck with the money site now, if you do shit directly to the money site, which is against everything we teach, then you're on your own. Because we tell you how to do it right. We've been telling you for years, don't hit your money site. Because if you do, Google has some shit for you in store. If you go through Google the way that we do, Google doesn't burn Google. It's proven time and again, Google loves Google. Google is narcissistic. Google trusts Google. Nobody has more authority on the web than Google, because Google is Google. And so that's why we're there. So on all of these things, like how can you figure out if there's a penalty? Well, you would have gotten a notification in your search console. I haven't seen those in a long time. And I do some nasty shit, guys, all open from signed into Google from my IP. I have a static IP just for that purpose. So I can send all of this spamosity, all this spamish awesomeness into the Google ecosystem, and I'm not seeing anything. I'm waiting because it's the algorithm taking over, right? It's the artificial intelligence taking over. And the way that we're doing it is such that the algorithm would have to hit itself in order for Google to come looking for you. So it's kind of what we're, not kind of, but it's what we're shielding ourselves against. It's what we're doing and what we're teaching and showing you guys to do. So having said all that, use the site : operator. If it's not de-indexed, it's simply penalized. Now you have to go and find out what the penalty is. Are you over optimized? Is it link building? Well, in Search Console, you'll see what links are indexed and whether you've been doing what we recommend, which is the 3 pillars: activity, relevance, trust, and authority. If your links are relevant, if they have activity and have become trusted, authoritative because you sent them through your SEO Shield and through Google. I mean, that's the best thing I can tell you.
Very good. 1 second. Anyway, I'm responding to Alana. She asked a good question about a comment I made last week. So, all right, back at it. So the next question is, oh yeah, by the way, the other thing about that, Dustin, is if your site tanked, and I'm surprised Margaret actually didn't mention something like this, it could be completely an entity issue as well. You know, I've actually experienced that with one of my more recent projects. Is there was some ambiguation with the entity itself, and it took literally months to disambiguate it to where now when I do a brand search for that, my domain comes up #1 for that, which it should, and pretty much the first 2 pages, except for like one listing, one indexed result is owned by branded assets, right? So entity assets. But it took months to actually get to that level. And it was a real pain in the ass. So if you have, if your entity is ambiguated, right? If it's not a strong entity, then that could also cause a problem. So, and I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen with one of my own projects too. So
entities could be an issue, but from what he's saying, site-wide tanking, I would say
most
that,
likely
it's different than if your brand is ambiguous. You go and look, just do a brand search and see what appears. That'll tell you.
Yeah. Okay, next is Sally. Says, hey guys, do you know of any done-for-you services to build out RSS master type autoblog sites? I would be very happy to pay for the building of these sites with related feeds to drive traffic. Is this something that mgyb would consider offering? Well, Sal, you're in luck in that we I don't know if mgyb will be doing it yet, but we one of our guest presenters at Profu Live has a really powerful tool that is in beta testing right now, and some of the POFU Live attendees have beta access to it right now. But when it comes out of beta access, it is precisely what you're asking about. It does exactly what you're asking about with the click of a few buttons. You can have between 1 and 1,000 different websites that are all auto blog content, and they're fucking amazing. Trust me, it's an amazing tool, and I'm one of the beta testers. Still don't have my beta access yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. And in the coming, it's not going to be available publicly for a couple of months, but when it does, be on the lookout for it because it's incredibly powerful. I've seen firsthand what this can do. So it's something that very likely once that product is ready for public consumption, that product and service, then we might have that built into, options inside of mgyb. But first and foremost, we've got to get the service itself has to be launched. So just be patient. It's coming and it's freaking amazing. Trust me.
Yeah, not RSS masher. That's not
right.
happening. But I mean, not that it isn't a good tool. It has its place. I have nothing against Damon, but the one that Jeremy's delivering is so much simpler, much lower learning curve, and so that's the one that I'm going to put my VAs into, and all the other people I have planned into putting into the stream and seeing what it does. So I'm gonna have some fun. Jeremy, where are my logins, Jeremy? I know where you live, man.
Yeah.
Give my logins, man.
I've been asking for weeks, man. So, all right, next is Big Billy. He says, question for Bradley. In the past, you mentioned getting penalized by spamming your schema. I think my SEO guy may be spamming my schema. Can you explain what you were doing exactly that got you a penalty so the rest of us will avoid that? Yeah, I had a manual notification on a couple different lead gen sites that I was using review schema, right? So you're not supposed to put that site wide. You're supposed to put it on specific pages and that kind of stuff. And I was trying to force the review stars to show up in the SERP. So I was, trying to add schema in different places and things like that. So I got a manual action notice inside a Search Console about it. And it wasn't too bad because all I had to do was go basically remove the offending schema and then submit it for reconsideration, and it was lifted in both cases. So I didn't really have any problem with it other than that. But I know that you can overdo it with schema. And so that's something that, I would recommend that you don't do. But Marco, do you have a kind of a better guideline for him than that?
No, we're setting up a test with Heavy Hitter Club. We're writing, Rob is writing some ridiculous amounts of schema and referencing everything, and Google pulls it in fine, and it validates just fine. The bot seems to really like it. So I guess it depends on how you're approaching this. If you're doing fake schema, like fake reviews and all that, you could get into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
But as long as it's relevant schema, which relates to your entity in the proper way, the sky's the limit. Literally, you could write probably dozens or hundreds of pages of code for schema. The point in all of this would be like diminishing returns. How much schema do you write where it becomes simply just doing it for the sake of doing it, which is something you don't want to get into. You want to get into, if you want to write schema that works, at some point, if the returns start diminishing, then you're doing too much and you need to roll it back.
Yeah. So like adding schema markup, like again, the penalties that I got are at least the manual action notices that I received from that. I mean, again, this was probably 4 years ago, and that was because I was adding, aggregate review schema to all the pages, even on stuff that didn't necessarily have any reviews, and that's part of the reason. So I wouldn't recommend that. But like, I've got local sites now that have, several locations, and each location has its own page on the main branded site, and each location has its own aggregate rating. And I do add review schema on those pages because it makes sense, and it can cause a rich snippet. And on the mobile devices, and especially, it's pretty cool because it'll pull in. It creates like this little card almost on a mobile device that shows like the reviews, and pulls in an image and everything else. It's pretty cool. But I'm testing something right now, guys, that I even asked about it at PoFu Live, and none of the people there were using it. But when I realized that at PoFu Live, some of the like I said, Rob, Marco just mentioned it. Rob, he's been writing like ridiculous amounts of schema. And I asked specifically, are you using any sort of application to do that? And he goes, no, I'm just kind of coding it out manually. I've tried some other apps and stuff, but there was too much of a learning curve. I just do it quicker on my own. Well, not me. I can tell you, when I try to hand code schema, like if I make one mistake, miss a comma somewhere or a curly bracket somewhere or something like that, then next thing you know, a quotation mark somewhere, then it screws the whole thing up. And sometimes I'll spend hours trying to find where the mistake is, and it's just better to start fresh for me. So I'm testing schemaapp.com. It's a bit expensive, but I'm only testing it on one URL or one domain right now. So it's $30 a month, and it's got a learning curve. There's no doubt. Oh, wow. Look at that. This thing's going to end in 10 minutes. I'm getting a notification from Zoom that our meeting is going to end in 10 minutes. So I don't know why, guys, but Zoom is going to kick us out early today. Say we need to upgrade.
And you, maybe it has to do with the fact that we downgraded the Zoom with the webinars. Maybe, I'm not sure.
This was a meeting, and I've always had meetings. I had a pro account unless somebody downgraded my account. Anyway, we're gonna have to wrap it up short today, guys, I guess.
All right.
Anyways, check out schemaapp.com. I don't have anything good to say about it yet, except that I was able to create some beautiful schema for one of my locations, lead gen locations, that it took me about an hour and a half to do it, though, because I had to learn how to use the app. So just keep that in mind. All right. So, guys, sorry about that. We changed our account around in Zoom for the PoFu Live event, and something must have gotten screwed up. So we'll have to get it corrected for next week. We're going to run out of time here in about 9 minutes or so. So we're going to run through a couple more questions, and when it ends, it ends. Sorry, guys. We'll make it up to you maybe next week. Paulson's up. He says
that's really weird, because I just checked your settings in Zoom, and it's still the same. It's licensed.
There's a countdown timer at the top of my Zoom bar that says 8 minutes and 31, 30, 29. So
no, I'm seeing it too on your screen. I just don't know why it's doing that.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to get it sorted for next week. So Paul's up. He says, what are some ways we can build more local relevancy? My competitor is dominating an area with 2 mass page sites, which have been in place for years. Rather than build out a heap of these types of pages, I'm looking for something a bit safer and less spammy. I've added drive stack, link building, mymap, and have a list of locations on the page, but only ranking for a small selection of places. Is there anything else I should be doing? Yeah. Create unique pages for each location that you want to rank for. And, you can mirror those. Like, again, we talk about theme mirror. You've got the drive stack, you got a G site, all of that. Well, I like to create separate pages for those, or even posts. I have my blogger do most of my, what I call location posts or geo posts now. I've just trained my blogger how to do that. So she'll go grab primary keyword and then then create a blog post and either put it in a location category on the site. So it's essentially siloed by location through categories, a typical silo structure, or using tag silos, which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you go to semanticmastery.com/process, again, semanticmastery.com/process, you'll see about website silo architecture. I've got some training videos in there that will teach you how I silo sites. But then I have my blogger go out and create a post that is optimized for the primary keyword plus location. And then she just pulls in some locally relevant data. Like she'll just add a couple of summaries of, landmarks or historical sites or history of the area itself, that kind of stuff. And then talks about whatever the main service is, and then publishes that. And that, again, now you've got something that you can mirror in your G site and your drive stack. And then you can hit your G site and your drive stack with backlinks so that you can start to dominate or overpower, that mass page site that's there. But just simply putting a list of the locations on the page that you want to rank isn't necessarily a very good way for it to rank in all the locations that you've listed on the page, because it's kind of ambiguating which location is it optimized for. Does that make sense? So I would create separate pages for each one of those. I know it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. If you don't like that idea, then you can go with the mass page route yourself. You know what I mean? Mark, you have any comments on that?
Nope.
Very good. Moving on. Alana says, thanks for the great answers last week. Bradley, you mentioned using Fiverr to produce your videos. What type of videos are you producing for local? Is it mainly for branding or Q&A? Mainly for branding. They're just commercial type videos. Alana, I posted the Fiverr creator that I use. I've used for like the last probably 2 or 3 videos that I've done has been from this guy right here. I posted the link below. I tagged your name or mentioned your name on it. But yeah, I use this guy quite a bit. It's at least for like I said, the last 2 or 3 videos that I've had done, and they're just branding type videos. It's more about, like I said, keeping that brand in front of people until they're ready to make a decision to purchase. And then because they're top of mind, they'll hopefully contact, the tree contractor or whatever that I've got the campaigns running for. Okay. So there you go. Very inexpensive, and it works quite well. Are you running ads to get views on these videos or running ads on targeted audience within other videos? Both. I do both. Like, so for example, I use in-stream ads. So those are, the videos that play in front of, or true view ads, I guess they call them, but they're in-stream, right? They're before the video that people intended to watch. And I just use audience and geographic targeting for that. When I say audiences, talk about in-market audiences, life event audiences, or custom intent audiences, which is no longer, it used to be custom intent audiences, but now they're called custom audiences, which have merged with affinity audiences. But in any one of those situations, like I said, geographic targeting, I try to use in-market audience or life event audience if possible, but if not, then I'll create a custom audience, and then Google's AI will learn through what you designate as the criteria for the custom intent audience, now again, it's called a custom audience now. Google's AI will learn how to build that type of an audience over time. It takes some time though. It's not something that a custom audience isn't going to work for you overnight. It does take some time for the AI to learn, the machine learning. It's a good question. The next question, we've only got about 3.5 minutes left, guys. Would you guys consider selling blueprints from Network Empires tool on mgyb? Maybe, only if we were able to talk about that, get permission with from them. I think we actually did talk about that at one time. Didn't we, Marco, with Matt DeCruz?
Yeah, we did.
But we never pulled the trigger on it. So
we never got around to it because we started using Jeffrey Smith's market research.
Yeah. Probably not likely. So Brian says, SEO Power Shield. I have a client with 3 locations in a metro area, 2 with the same city name, 3 locations in a metro area, 2 with the same city name, 3rd with unique city name, but same metro area. Should I get 3 Power Shields or 1 with 2 extensions? I would say 1 Power Shield with 2 extensions, because that's what we always teach, is to build your branded Power Shield, right? And that becomes the main entity. And then if you expand, even if you have multiple locations in the same city, they're unique in the fact that they have different street addresses, likely different phone numbers, right? Likely their own page on your main branded site. So it's a unique URL for each location, I would assume. So yeah, I would go with 1 shield and 2 extensions. Marco, what say you?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure this out or think it out. So you have 3 GMBs, 3 locations. One of those you make like the corporate headquarters.
Right.
That's the head of the brand. That's the master copy. That's, I don't know, whatever you want to call that. That's the main entity. The other 2 would be, for lack of a better way of explaining it, children related to that main entity. And then you would create that relationship through location pages and then through the schema that you put on each of those on the location pages, and referencing the organizational data that you're going to put on the main page where that main GMB is going to reside. Or you can even put those three in 3 different location pages if your brand doesn't include a location. Now, here's the problem when you start including locations instead of brand, because if you're stuck with a location for a brand, then how do you reference the other 2 locations, especially when one location is different from the others, but the same metro area, right? Is the bot sophisticated enough to understand these relationships without the schema, or if you don't create the schema correctly? I mean, this is exactly what we're teaching in the Heavy Hitter Club, how to reference the parent organization from the sub-organization so they all become part of one bigger entity instead of just a parent with orphaned children. You don't want to do that. You don't ever want to do that. Have Google consider 3 different places, 3 different things, and each one having nothing to do with the other. The 3 will power each other up when they're referenced correctly. If they don't, they might even compete against the other, especially if they overlap.
We're going to be shut off here in a second. Ed, power up not only your G site, but your your drive stack folders and files, your syndication network properties, your ID page, all of those. So your question here, which was long and I understand, can all be powered up. All of those assets, right? Syndication network properties, your G site, your files and folders from your drive stack, your ID page, all of that stuff can be added to your Press Advantage organization page and so forth. Right, all of that can be added to the link building package. Okay, guys, we're going to be shut off. So sorry, we'll get this corrected for next week. Sorry we couldn't get to all these questions.